This is my school and this is my learning zone. I'm Pranjal, a full-time high school student. In my free time, I find the opportunities to have conversations with professionals from various walks of life. Over time, I have learned that you have to be humble, work hard, and be a lifelong learner to be successful in life. I invite you to join me in one such journey. I hope you enjoy it. Today on my show, I have a highly accomplished guest. He is a professor and associate chair of the Department of Agronomy at Iowa State University. He has written over 144 peer-reviewed papers and has received over $100 million in funding for his grants. He hails from India. Please welcome Dr. Asheesh Singh.
Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Asheesh Singh, let's start at the very beginning. How would you describe yourself as a student in early school?
So in grade schools, I would assess myself as an inquisitive student, someone that was interested in the curricular as well as extracurricular activities, and a lot of time was spent in spending time with friends and traveling wherever I could, and then also in trying to read books or other educational material that may go beyond what was prescribed as the required course content. In terms of academic accomplishments, I would rate myself as an average student. I did fine. I wish I could have maybe done better. Maybe it doesn't matter as well. But it was a great time to be in school because those are very formative years, and a lot of passions of life are determined at that time. So that's what my grade school things that I remember about.
Right. What kind of things motivated you to learn more about as your extracurriculars?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that just the aspect of being curious, and as I said earlier, being inquisitive about things that were around me. So it could just be some physical processes that were around me. It could be, topics that related to space. It could be, any topic that I just didn't have enough information. I wanted to know more. It could just be topics about sports and maybe a particular sport and maybe personalities and more accomplished players or teams. So just things around me. And being another thing I would say is I would in the conversations I would have with friends, if there was a topic that came up, I would generally try to learn a little bit more. This was before the days of the internet, so our information was not as accessible to us at that time. But there were still ways to get the kind of information that we were interested in obtaining.
So, throughout school, was there a moment where you knew what you wanted to do exactly, or did you decide at the end?
Yeah, in my experience, I would say life is quite fluid. There are lots of events that happen in one's life that may determine the course of action that they may take. It could be maybe a life-altering event, or maybe it is just accumulation of past experiences that may inform an individual what they may or they may not want to do. In my case, I would say that my motivation to be in agriculture came from knowing our histories from centuries. We know that we have been farmers, and that was something that I thought was very noble, something that I thought that was an aspect that I would be interested to spend the rest of my life. And that helped me because I knew what I wanted to do from kind of an early age than most of the other people did. Of course, back then there was, I would say, the societal expectation that there are few professions that would be more chosen than the other. Yeah. But I was quite happy that I was able to get into agriculture at Pantnagar University because that was a great experience for me at that time.
So let's talk about that. You do get into the University of Pantnagar. Was it challenging to get in? How did the process look like?
Yeah, at that time, I was as time has gone on, I would say that I've crystallized more in terms of my interest and in terms of my commitment. At an early age, there's still some figuring out that is happening. But I was thankful that at least I knew where I wanted to be, because that helped me apply myself as best as I could to continue working towards attaining that goal. So it was not challenging per se to get into the university. Of course, there was an entrance exam that gets you the to get into that program. But I wouldn't say it was particularly challenging. I think the challenge was more in terms of, is this what I want to do?
Right.
What would your advice be to students my age who are still struggling to find a major that they want to pursue in the future?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and it's probably maybe each student has to have their own formulation of the rationale of why they want to do and how they're going to go about do it. My take on it is that if you're in a profession that you truly enjoy, then it really is not a profession anymore for you. It is just a way of life for you. It is, an aspect of life that you just enjoy. There are so many different professions that, one probably has an opportunity to go into. I'm thankful that I went into a profession that I was motivated by. I just, I saw that the opportunity that existed were the kinds of things that I wanted to do. So my advice would be that follow your dreams and have a good reasoning for it. Learn about what type of opportunities may come in that profession. It is one thing to just go in a direction that you want to go, but not knowing the path and the destination could probably complicate that journey. So I would say that follow the dreams, follow the kinds of interests that you have, and then also have at least some drawn out plans of what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Right.
And of course, be open to make changes as you go along, because life is not unidimensional.
Right, right.
So you finish your BSc from Patnagar and you decide to continue school and go to another university. How did you know you wanted to do more education and not just go into a job? How did you make this decision?
So it's an interesting story, and I'll keep it brief. After I did my bachelor's degree, my interest was to go back to the ancestral farm, the family farm that we had, and either go farm there or start a business enterprise around that farm. And I was not, at the same time, there was another trajectory that was, I've done, I've gotten this degree, I'm interested in it. Why don't I get further education with the intention that maybe I can be a little bit more educated farmer when I come back? So, going again, as I said, life is not that, things are just, this is going to happen, then this or that, because unexpected things may happen. So being open to changes and being able to maybe maximize the returns from that particular aspect or change in life. So I was helping clean room of my sister who had gone overseas for her degrees, and we found this old farm. And my father said, "You've always wanted to travel. You've always wanted to, get further education to be an educated, highly educated farmer. Why don't you apply?" And that was the first application I sent. And then I sent a few more applications overseas because I wanted to learn about how agriculture is done in some of these other countries outside that have a different kind of agriculture than what we did in India at that time. I sent my application in, and I got scholarship to go there, and I went and went to University of Saskatchewan that way. I was very thankful for my advisor at that time, Dr. Brian Rossnagel, who took a chance at me, and I really enjoyed under his tutelage. I learned a lot, and he kept. I was very thankful also for the opportunity because it helped verify that yes, my interest in this is truly coming from my heart, and also the direction I wanted to go in my professional career.
So you get the scholarship and you have a breakthrough. Was this the first time leaving the country?
It wasn't the first time leaving the country, but it was the first time leaving the country at my on my own. And it is, no matter what stage of life one may move out, whether it's out of the home or it's out of the country, just an openness about experiences and, continuing to follow your dreams and continue to, pursue the career path that you have, and being open-minded about that this is an aspect that you signed up for. And there will be challenges because, going from a situation where maybe things were a little more easier to come to a place where maybe things are, you have to do your own things, just taking it in stride. It's all part of a growing experience. And that's what, in my opinion, one aspect of life is. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was challenging. I was very excited about the opportunities to meet new people. I met a lot of people from all over the world. It helped me learn, just most of the times people are the same, and you can learn about the culture, you can learn different languages, you can learn, the ways people think, they live. So I found it actually very rewarding personally.
Adapting to the culture was successful for you, but was adapting to the educational style in Canada easy?
It was interesting at first. In the education, at least the way I had approached education, there was a lot more of knowledge retention. And moving to Canada, there was a lot more of knowledge application. And there is a difference. One is that I know different topics of a particular subject and I can give you answers on it. The other model is that I know, I have maybe sufficient knowledge of it, but am I able to be creative in the application of that knowledge to either problem solve or to create, new product, So that type of, that shift has to happen if one is interested in pursuing higher education and going up to research. So if it is research career, that type of shift needed to happen. And I was very thankful. I had great mentors and, great colleagues who were very good in enabling me to being able to make that shift. And it is something that, everyone who is in research, we continue working towards.
So after 4 years in Saskatchewan, you graduate and you decide to seek even more information by getting a PhD. Did you, not many people get a PhD. How did you know that you wanted to continue down the academic path?
Right. So after I did a 4-year program in Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture and Animal Husbandry in India, I went to University of Saskatchewan to pursue a Master's of Science, and it was in plant breeding. That was the specialization that I was most interested in. And after my Master's, I worked a little bit because I wanted to gain experience as an employee. So I could work full-time to learn really the intricacies of how, research programs are run, different skills that are part of that particular area of work. And then I decided that I want to continue into a PhD. And for that, I made applications and I went to University of Guelph, also in Canada, to pursue my PhD. And PhD is where you're trying to really, it's Doctor of Philosophy, and that really is, in my opinion, and I still, hold it, that idea that PhD is about your ability to be able to have conversations or to think about even subjects that perhaps you did not get your PhD in. PhD should get you to be able to have conversations in a lot of different areas because you're able to synthesize information, critically think, and then have some questions and or ideas of, ideas for the topic that you're discussing. So I completed my PhD, and at that stage, that is the highest degree. And at that stage, you are generally ready to go into the job market in that research and development area, the R&D. And that's true for most industries.
So how was your overall experience of the PhD program, and would you recommend it to others?
I would say that again, it was a very rewarding experience, learned a lot, I made lots of, met a lot of people, had a great network of people that helped me to be better than what I could be without that network of people. Just lots of very accomplished people. My mentor, my PhD mentor, Dr. Elizabeth Lee, learned a lot from her during that PhD and from other teachers that I had in courses. So it was a very very good experience, and I would recommend people to pursue that path of that higher education if you have a lot of curiosity about things. If you are someone that either have questions that you want to solve, or you want to create new intellectual property, if you want to help stakeholders, or with the industry or consumers, or citizens of a country with new things that you can develop, R&D is a great place to be. You are surrounded by amazing, intellectually gifted people. They're very accomplished. They do good. They think well. They come up with great ideas of solving problems. So it's a very rewarding experience that way as well. And these are good jobs as well. However, these are only for people that have that interest, professional and career interest. It is not for everyone because, as I said, it's a long process. It could be anywhere from 8 to 12 years to get all those degrees.
So you finish your PhD and go back to the university you completed your MSc from. How did you get the job at that university?
Right. So I went back to the same province where I got my master's, and I worked for a little bit, but it was a different institution. So after my PhD, it was another one of those really interesting life experiences. So there is a process in the PhD program where you've conducted the work, and then you write your dissertation and you present it to these experts. And at that time, if they say that you've done well, then you get a pass and you get your doctorate degree. So when I was getting ready for that defense to defend what I had done and presented to this committee of experts, just about a month prior to that, I didn't really have a job offer of any kind. And that was a little bit, for anyone that is seeking to get into the job market, it's a little daunting when you do not have a job lined up and your degree is coming to an end. But I had interviewed for a lot of positions prior to it. So I was very hopeful. I'm an eternally optimist person. I was quite optimistic that I will have, a job that I want to be in. Post that defense date, I was able to, I think at that time I had 8 or 10 job offers.
Wow.
So then you have this, again, you have 10 different ways your career can go. That was very exciting again, because you have to think it through, the pluses and minuses. Anytime a decision has to be made, you have to go through pros and cons and, the path you want to take. And I ended up choosing the place that I worked at in Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. And I am very, very thankful that I made that decision. Although that was the lowest job pay offer of all other job offers I had, it was the most rewarding experience for me. I'm so happy that I made that choice, because I met and I worked alongside with, again, just an amazing team of people. I learned a lot. I was able to contribute, and it was a life-changing type of job for me. And that's how I went into it, and just my experience from it.
So what was the job?
My job my first job was as a research scientist. Particularly, the specifics of the job was to be breeding for durum wheat, and that's the kind of wheat that pasta. And if you're eating pasta or couscous, that's the type of wheat that is used. So most of the pasta in the world is made by durum wheat. So that particular position was to develop varieties for farmers And that aspect, that development of varieties, is what I had gone to school for. So from my bachelor's on, I wanted to be in plant breeding. I did my master's and my PhD. So now that job is allowing me to pursue those dreams. So that was development of varieties that farmers would grow. And then also to pursue research investigations on topics that can help the process or the pipeline of development of those varieties. So scientific insights that any typical R&D program would do. So that was the job.
So when you finally got the opportunity to work on what you've been learning your entire life, did you feel like you finally made it and all the years of hard work finally paid off?
Right. So I still think of myself as a student because there is much more that I don't know than what I do know, and that is what gets me. One of the things that get me up every morning, because it's another day to continue learning and to continue applying. So I wouldn't say that I have arrived yet. That expression. Right. It's an ongoing process, but I'm just happy because I get to do what I always wanted to do, and I continue to aspire to be better, better as in my role as a plant breeder, better in my role as a researcher, better in my role as a colleague, better in my role as a mentor. So yeah, that's where I think I'm at. So I haven't arrived yet.
Right, that's truly inspiring. So you finish working and you move jobs to Iowa State University. What prompted the change of jobs?
Right. So we, as we both, my spouse and I, we are both PhD holders, so we both have interest in a research career, and we were both of us were able to get these jobs that we are in the university. So it was a decision that worked well for us as a working couple, so we could continue to be able to live together and to pursue our research careers. And also Iowa State University was the preferred choice. I can speak for myself because growing up, I read a lot of books which came from researchers that were at Iowa State universities or research papers. So Iowa State University, in my mind as a child, how there are certain things we are impressionable, and when we get an opportunity to be a part of that experience, we're very excited about it. So I was very excited about the opportunity to come and work at an institution where some just very pioneering people had worked were working at that time.
So were there any major differences working at Iowa and your previous university, or was it easy to transfer?
So university, so as you pointed out previously, I worked at a government institution, and focus of that job was more on breeding and research, plant breeding and research. Moving to Iowa State University, focus was more on teaching, student mentoring, then plant breeding and research. Right. In a university setting, student and development of workforce is paramount. That's an aspect of university experience, because as you are now thinking about getting into that university, as you graduate from high school, you want to have an experience that helps you get the knowledge, helps you gain the experience that you need to be successful. So universities are always focused on students so that they have good educational experience, good professional experience, so that they are ready to be successful in their jobs. So that transition included getting into classroom instruction, teaching, along with engaging with students who were masters or PhD students that would work in our team, that I would get an opportunity to work with and also serve as their mentor.
So you joined Iowa University back then, and you're still with them today. So let's take a look at your accomplishments. You have gotten over 40 grants from the university itself. How, how do you get these grants and how do you come up with topics to research?
So right, and these funded or these funding, they are not necessarily from the university. Just to clarify, these funding may come from farmer organizations or federal agencies or private companies. So these grants are generally they're generally competitive. You have to pitch in your idea to the that particular organization that is extended that grant, and it is peer reviewed, and they make their funding decision. The pursuit of these ideas, it's a teamwork, because you cannot work in isolation. You work with people. If people have a buy-in, and if they believe that they're part of the vision that has been created by that team, then they are able to work and be engaged and involved and feel belonged. So these ideas most of the times are ideas that we pursue that come from our internal deliberations in the group, and then we would try to get our funding. Now, there are lots of collaborations because most of the work that is done right now is very interdisciplinary. It is not uncommon that same particular grant application may have 4 or 5 different people from different professions. So you have to have the interest and ability to work across disciplines, be respectful, for different disciplines, appreciate it, have a willingness to learn, and just be a good team player. And if you are doing all those things, then hopefully you will get that return on investment to the funding agency that have given you the money. So I would say that these successes that we have had so far is just a reflection of just some amazing people that are in the team, and then collaborators, and also engagement with these different farmers, industry folks, consumers, for what they want us to work on. You have to pick topics that are truly needed or are important. Yeah. We are in a more applied research setting, so we generally do not pursue basic science questions. We pursue aspects of science that can lead to improvement in our breeding pipeline and or lead to improvement in the kind of variety that we develop.
You also wrote a lot of peer-reviewed articles, and in some of them you talk about like modern day technology integration with plants. For example, the one on machine learning. How do you come up with the ideas that you want to explore on something like peer articles, which you pursue by yourself?
Right. So if there is a problem that no one individual or one team can pursue or one discipline can pursue, that means that you need to go into an interdisciplinary approach, cross-disciplinary approach. And you want to hold your expertise in the area that you have worked over your career, but you also have to have an appetite for these, maybe to learn these other disciplines, so that we are not stumbling blocks for our colleagues. So you have to ensure that the team dynamic, the disciplinary dynamic is such that you pick a problem, you all come together, and you come up with potential ways to solve it together. Right. And you need to have these amazing students that are part of your team. These students are learning more and more and getting further into the depths of these different disciplines or interdisciplinary. But they're the drivers of a lot of work, a lot of innovation that comes through as well. You have to have amazing staff that I've been very fortunate in my career. These are people that actually are getting the work done. So it's a team effort on part of the people that are working on it, and also how you come together across a range of different disciplines. So the aspect of machine learning, it comes from some of the problems that we have had, we have not been able to solve after decades of work. There are new technologies, new ways of analysis that has come. So how can we leverage that, those new approaches to maybe solve existing problem or to solve problems that we anticipate that will come in the future? So as an example, with some of the projections around climate, it will become increasingly difficult to produce food. And food is such an essential, it's just essential in our lives. We need to be able to produce good food, sufficient food, wholesome food. But now we are saying that, there's going to be a very challenging environment to produce that food.
Yeah.
How can we ensure that people have enough food to, on their plates? So that's where, we have to be, sometimes may think a little bit outside of the box to leverage these newer technologies to ensure that, we are in a position that, people have access to food.
You've also written other articles on technology and plant. Do you think that the technology you explored is viable and it would be coming to us very soon?
Right. So I would say that we're so technologically driven, even your generation, my generation, technology is all around us. And technology increases at quite a rapid pace. One of the challenges that how do we identify which technology can help us with the problem that we are working on? So you may have different avenues to pursue. How do you choose the avenue that you pursue to problem solve what you want to problem solve? So it's not, I don't think the technology will be a challenge. It is to ensure that we pick the right problem to solve and we pick the right combination of these technologies to solve that problem so that we are able to develop and, maybe get those solutions in the hand of farmers or in the hand of consumers so that, it's helping a large section of the society.
So out of all the 140 research papers you've written, which topic is your favorite?
So yeah, that's a good question. I've enjoyed every single work that I've been a part of. It is very gratifying to see complete a project from conceptualization, inception, all the way to deliver it and then to put it out for peer review and then to get it published. A lot of hard work and toil goes into it. So every single of that publication is very dear to me. So the papers that I truly enjoy are papers that I'm working with students in the team. It is just amazing to see this talent, to work alongside with them. And then also some of the other papers that I've also enjoyed is when they were very, very interdisciplinary, because it just gives me an opportunity to learn and to grow as a researcher. So each one of the paper is special. I enjoy all of them, and papers that help me, maybe get better than what I am today. That's just extra special. I've always been an internal looking person. I put my own benchmarks for where I am at and where I want to be. I'm generally not as I generally don't look at what others' expectation of me is. So it helps me, keep grounded, and it helps me move at the pace that I want to move at. And just, as I said, I have enjoyed every single paper that has come out, and hopefully it has done its purpose, that it has advanced, that topic or that aspect of science, and or also lead to information that other researchers can use to make improvements in their own research. And that's what collectively, the research is about, that these peer-reviewed papers, they serve as the recipe for further improvements in different aspects of research topics.
With so much experience writing research papers, is there any advice that you could give other researchers or even high school students who have to write a research paper for their project?
Yeah, so whatever you do, that's again that internal looking person that I am. Whatever you do, enjoy it. And if you're enjoying what you're doing, whether it's a term paper you're writing, project paper you're writing, or a research scientific paper you're writing. It just goes more smoothly. It is more, you're happy about it. You're learning, you're growing, and you're confident. I would say that have a good plan in place when you're approaching writing. You have to have the skeleton in place for, this is your vision of what that paper is going to be. It has to have, there's always some structure to any paper that you write. So ensuring that you are, you keep that in mind, and then you just start writing a little bit at a time. Just, you start, when you start, it's a blank sheet of a Word document or a sheet of paper. But when you finish, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a journey, right? You have so many other things that are going on. So find some dedicated time. It generally takes a little bit to get into the groove of thinking and writing. So you have to carve out some sections, blocks of time that is dedicated to that writing. So, just keeping some, good practices about writing. And then, as I said, just enjoy it.
So let's turn our eyes to the future. What is one exciting development that you're excited for that could potentially happen?
In the work that I do,
Yeah.
you mean? So right now, and it's not new per se, but this is the trend that has been happening in a lot of plant research area. There's some amazing innovations that have happened both on the side of the influx of some of the engineering tools and principles that are getting into plant sciences, plant research, and then also some very innovative things that have happened on the genomic side of of research. So I would expect that there's going to be a continual infusion of these tools and technologies coming from the engineering discipline that can help us problem solve in areas that have traditionally been harder. Computers have a great capacity to do the computation that was previously difficult. We can leverage some of the some of that strength into our own research problems. So maybe we can study maybe 1 million different scenarios with the power of computation that we currently have, which we did not have previously had access to. We could look at how is a particular plant going to perform in specific set of conditions, which maybe we didn't have the kind of clarity that we may have now and in future. So there's still, don't get me wrong, there's still a long ways to go, but that's the kind of path that I think is very exciting, and I look forward to being part of.
It's definitely exciting. Let's talk about your personal life. With such a heavy academic focus, how do you find work-life balance at home?
Yeah, so it's probably something I can do better, and I'm mindful of it. To me, work, I'm very passionate about it. At the same time, I have my own, responsibilities towards my family and my friends and, relationships. What has helped me to some extent is that when I finish my work, I do not take work with me when I'm at home. When I'm at home, I try to be at home and be mentally and physically be present at home. So I keep my work and my life dissociated that way. When I'm in office, I do not think or work on things that may be of personal nature. So I keep my two lives separate, and that has helped to some extent personally for me. And just I continue to try to be just be aware of the to ensure that I am there and keeping my personal life healthy and, just, yeah, physical, mental health, well-being, along with being productive. As the pandemic has shown, it has been a challenge, and just being aware that everyone is wired differently.
Yeah.
And there are things that we can learn from other people, and there are certain times in our lives that we can help someone else, based on our own experiences. So, that also helps in that work-life balance. It's not just, in this case, it's not just about, I as an individual. This work-life balance involves, a lot of people, and to ensure that, we are doing our part to be, a good spouse, a good parent, a good child, a good friend, in all of those.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any hobbies when you're at home?
My, I haven't really pursued a dedicated hobby as I've gotten more busy in my life, but I would say that whenever I have free time, I play with my kids different sports that they are into, and just spending time with them and participating in their activities. That's my hobby, and I enjoy it. It's good time. It's relaxing time. It's fun time. Um, if I was if I was to go back and think about if there was one thing that I wish I could have spent more time or learned, that would be music. I wish I I was intelligent enough back, when I was younger, to pick up an instrument, and I didn't do it, and I regretted that I didn't do it. I wish I had done it. So maybe in future I may pick up an instrument and try to learn about it.
Learning never stops.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So, with all your experience, is there any general advice that you would like to give a student?
Yeah. So life's a journey, and how how well can we navigate different aspects of life? When we are doing well, be prepared that it may not remain as good as it currently is. When we are doing not so good, remember that it will not remain that bad. It will get better. Relationships are very important, and be honest and truthful in your relationships. And what I'm sharing is not just my own. It is what I've observed in other people in life. It's very informative when you look at people who are successful in their personal professional lives, because why why not learn from their experiences? They have gone through it. Just asking them questions, and how have they navigated? So relationships are important. Try and be a good citizen. Have something that you're passionate about. For me, that passion stems from, I want to do something good for the farmers, and I want to do something good for the country. I want to be a good, contributing member of the society. My father always used to remind me that, this is a common learning across different cultures in the world, that you got to leave the world a better, in a better place than it was when you inherited it. So being driven to some extent, and being true to yourself, understanding where we may not be as good and where improvements can be made, where things that we know we are really good, don't bring the ego aspect into it, because yes, we may be really good in a certain aspect, but there's always scope for improvement.
Yeah.
So and just taking care of your physical, mental well-being. It's very easy to forget about it, but it's just so critical. And these are some of the things that I continue to aspire to be better at. And there are lots of things, because the question you pose is a very deep question, and we could probably spend an entire day talking about it.
Yeah.
So just, yeah, being being aware of who we are, and being respectful to our own self and then respectful to others around us, and spread some kindness. There's that never hurt anyone, and just being a good person. And all of us know what that may be. So those would be the kind of things that I want to be or aspire to be. And yeah.
Right. If you had a time machine and you could relive any moment in your life, which moment would that be?
Um, I I look forward to the future more so than dwelling on the past. So and I like surprises. So I don't even want to go in the future to see what will happen or may happen, if that technology existed. But there's certain parts of my earlier life that I've truly enjoyed, and it's maybe not necessarily go back to them because I've enjoyed it and they carry special memories in my mind. Are some of the days, earlier days, spending time with my parents and my sister and my family, and some amazing times, fun times with my friends. Just different visits that different places that I have visited. There's some unique moments, sharing some special moments with your family, friends. So I'm just very thankful that I've been able to accumulate a lot of good memories, and I hope that I can continue accumulating them in the future. Yeah, yeah.
And finally, I ask this question to every guest on the show: how much of your percentage of your success would you dedicate to hard work, and how much of your success would you dedicate to luck?
I would say that I'm not sure if I'm successful or not, but whatever productivity I've had in my career so far, I would dedicate it to people around me. And I don't know if I generally um, I don't think of luck as much personally, um, but it is the people that I believe have been able to help me, contribute in small ways that I've contributed so far. There is so much more to do, and I hope I have the opportunity in my life that I'm able to make those types of contributions. And hard work, good teamwork, respect for others, and appreciation, passion to pursue the kinds of dreams that we have of these people that are around me. They have helped me to be who I am. Their experiences, their knowledge, their insights, their hard work, as you pointed out. So I would say that I dedicated to the just the efforts, hard work of people around me. If I had to pick between the hard work and the luck, I would say that it would be the people around me and the efforts that they have given towards it. And you have to have sometimes some unexpected events that happen in your life, and maybe those are part of that luck factor. And how do you respond to those unexpected events that happen? Are we going to use them as a learning opportunity or an opportunity of growth and development? Or are we going to take them as setback? That could also play a role in how we navigate. So I say this, that you have the glass half full, glass half empty. So far in my life, I have been a glass fully full and a glass half full kind of person. Yeah. So no matter what, it's whatever happens, okay, it happened, and it's fine. And then just hopefully remain humble and grounded, with that that aspect of spirituality, comes into um, just the acceptance of things
Right. Thank
and
you
trying
so
to be better.
yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Your journey is truly inspirational from becoming a fully high academic researcher. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, Pranjal, and all the very best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.